So welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm here. My guest today is Sam Deen. We went to school together. Did IOBC Infantry Officer basic course together. So now after he got out, he started a gym. Went from there, turned it into a CrossFit gym, and now he's got two CrossFit gyms. He's got this ranch that he's hoping to build out, and he's got a coffee company and does a lot of real estate work. Yeah. So Sam, thanks for being here.
Thanks for coming down. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'll always love to see classmates, man.
Yeah, man.
Old buddies.
Yeah. So what I like to start with is what were you like in growing up and in high school, and what sort of led you towards joining the military?
Well, when we were seniors, I think you're the same age I am exactly, but 9/11 happened, and I had known about West Point from history class and whatnot, but I had a friend whose older brother went, who was quite a bit older than me. He had already graduated when I was in high school, but we'd go over to his house, and we'd have parties and stuff over there, but I'd see his uniforms like hanging up on the wall, and I was really interested in that. And so I didn't think I was going to be able to get into West Point, and 9/11 happened, and I kind of was like, okay, that's really where I want to go now. And I did everything I could to get in. So I was on the tennis team. Never won a tennis match, but as a senior, I was the team captain, and I was on the golf team. And of course, I was a good football player. I was playing that all the time, but I did everything I could. I was in the Boy Scouts. I was, student council. I was just looking to do a bunch of shit just to get my credentials to where they would accept me, which they did.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so it was definitely like I'm sure there's just tons of people in our position that 9/11 happened, and that was just the impetus.
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, we're the first class after 9/11 to go.
Yeah.
To West Point.
That's very true. Yeah.
I felt more comfortable in the Army than I did at West Point. I branched to infantry, and I got it because that's what I wanted, and I felt right at home in the infantry. I just loved it. I did. I don't remember a lot about IBOLIC, and of course from there we went to Ranger School, and I was with all my friends too.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed learning how to ambush and all those things. Like I loved that stuff. And then, after my last job was an instructor at IBOLIC, which came full circle. I got to teach that stuff, so I really enjoyed that. That type of stuff. I ambush out here at the ranch. I ambush deer and hogs.
Yeah.
Use the same tactics.
Yep.
But yeah.
So from there, you went out to Fort Hood from there, right?
Yeah. So Ashley moved in with me at Fort Benning, and then went to Ranger School. Yeah. Then I went to Fort Hood. We got married in between here and Fort Hood. And
how did you two meet?
Well, she's from the neighboring town here, Grant Saline. We met in high school.
Okay.
Year 2000.
Yeah.
Y2K New Year's Eve party. So yeah, we were together. We split up a few times, but she was with me for the most of my adult life, I guess.
2% Club, right?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, we didn't make it the entire time. We didn't make it the entire time. But
you're still together now. So
yeah.
That's the part that counts, right?
Yeah. Most we've been together, we've been married 13 or 14 years now, so like that we've surpassed most people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It can be a rough life for military folks, man. Trying to keep that together.
Yeah. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, Union infantry, you work a lot. Even if you're not deployed, like when you're home, you work a lot, and you're in the field. But you might be across the base in the woods, but like you're not coming home and sleeping. You're like sleeping on the ground out there. Your wife's at home by herself, and it's not a normal job. No.
Oh yeah. about a year long train up.
Yeah.
What was your deployment like?
The deployment was rough, for sure. We were in Kunar Province of northeastern Afghanistan in the mountains, and I was the reconnaissance platoon leader. So I did a good job being a rifle platoon leader at Fort Hood, and I got picked to be the recon platoon leader. Well, when we got to Afghanistan, we were in these combat outposts. Like the new movie that just came out, The Outpost. It wasn't at that one. I think I flew into that one or around that one time. But we had the Korengal outposts. We had, Able, Maine, Honaker Miracle, Camp Blessing, and Asadabad, and all these things throughout the Pesh River Valley and Korengal Valley. All these things. So my reconnaissance platoon got split up into the company commanders. So the first part of my deployment, I would fly to each combat outpost and just do missions with my teams. We would provide overwatch mainly and hike up mountains and stuff. And then at one point I was chose to lead this provincial coordination center, which I would meet daily at 9 a.m. with the Afghan border police, the police and the army, and the NDS, the intelligence. And we would share intelligence, and I would just take it back to the battalion commander. Mm-hmm. But I had a recon team with me, and I would convoy to this Asadabad city, to the governor's mansion, and I would have this meeting. And then eventually, Colonel Spicer said, "I want you to live there." So then my team lived there for 3 or 4 months at the end of the deployment.
Yeah.
And we were responsible for all of our security. We lived in Asadabad, so that was pretty wild, but thank God I never got attacked,
Yeah.
But Asadabad was pretty safe. He was like the capital. But I lost 2 of my soldiers in Afghanistan, Ezra Dawson and Christopher Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was more fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's always a hard thing to do. Losing soldiers. Soldiers end up being as close to you as anybody.
Yeah, it is terrible. And because now, we're not in any of those places.
Yeah.
We've turned them over, and they both died in the Korengal Valley, which there's videos of this, basically, of what happened on the internet. There's a video on the internet of the Taliban walking, or Al-Qaeda, or whoever the hell it is, walking over like a guitar case at the Korengal outpost that I used to play that guitar. It's after we kind of abandoned the base, whenever we changed the strategy of kind of pulling back. That was hurtful, And I remember being there, man. We were on Pakistani border. Like, we thought bin Laden was up in those valleys. And I remember, like, those intelligence reports I got at the PCC all the time. Hey, Haji Mateen, like all these warlords around there were bringing fighters over the border in here tonight, et cetera, but we never could go over the Pakistani border, And then 2 years later, bin Laden's over there, but we can't go over there. And it's just frustrating, political bullshit. And when we went into Afghanistan, in the Kunar Province, there's trees. So in the mountains, there's trees. Like, it's really crazy. I never thought it'd be like that. And whenever the Taliban went out and we stood up the new government, there was no eminent domain paid to these timber traders. So like these people that own these timber mills, like Haji Mateen, let's just remember this name. This guy was like a millionaire. He was a warlord. He employed all the people, and he cut down trees and he transported it to Pakistan. They made door frames and doors and window frames. Well, the government came in and said, no longer own those mountains, they're government land. So this guy immediately became a bad guy.
Yeah.
And like all the guys that worked for him were now shooting at us. and there was never like, this guy was, I guess the CIA probably tried to pay this guy off or something, but it just seemed like it was, some of that was handled kind of odd. But
yeah, if they had not done that, you know, he would have just kept on with his lumber company.
Because a big deal that we did, we would like see if they were smuggling timber. Like we would search their trucks, jingle trucks, see if there's timber in there. Because then the Taliban would extort it, you know, going over the border. But yeah, I always thought that was kind of odd. And anyway, it was a wild year for sure. And I felt like we made progress, but then again, we just kind of pulled back, and you know, we lost 20. Blue Spaders 126 Infantry lost 20 soldiers, and 2 of mine personally. And man, it's tough. War is tough, man.
Yeah, it sure is. With how long we've been over there, and you know, it's hard seeing like, you know, what's the argument? Do we keep on expending? You know, keep on sending soldiers over there, or do we?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, if you go ask anybody around here where I'm from, it's, we'll fight them over there so we don't have to fight them over here. You know, and that's, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Well, yeah, walk us through what the process was once you got out, like, you know, finding what you were gonna do next.
Yeah, so it was tough. Getting out, you're like, oh crap, am I to make the right decision? Because, you know, when I got into West Point, I was like, man, I want to be rich. West Point, everybody's gonna want to hire me. I'm the smartest guy in the world, you know, whatever the crap you think about when you think about West Point. It's like, that's. Well, you get out and it's like, I did some of those interviews with corporate America. With there's headhunters will contact you and they set you up with these corporations. And I wanted to get out because I wanted to move back to my hometown. And a lot of the corporate interviews that I went on in the companies to get in, like they said, well, you're a junior military officer, they call it JMOs, and they said, you're going to be moving from city to city and you going up the corporate ladder, and that just sounded like the Army to me. So I was like, I don't want to do this. And I had a bunch of interviews where, even though I didn't want to do it, I blew the interview so badly that they weren't going to hire me anyway. Said all the wrong things. Are you willing to relocate? And I'm like, no, I want to work in Dallas or East Texas. I mean, the interview was basically over at that point.
Yeah.
So I was like, what can I do, man? We did PT. I had a lead as an officer. I had a lead PT every morning at 6 a.m. So I was like, well, what about I'll be a trainer? And I opened a gym. I had all that deployment money. My wife moved in with my mom and dad when I was in Afghanistan, so we had some money saved from that whole year. We didn't really spend a dime. Yeah. And I had some equipment in my basement, and I got on Craigslist and got like those rubber mats, like a lot of the same rubber mats you saw today. And like one barbell, and I just bought some stuff off Craigslist, and I opened my first gym, and I stood in there for weeks for somebody to come in. You know, people like the mail person would come in, you know, and then some of my neighbors, like other businesses, would come in and be like, "What are you doing here?" You know, but they wouldn't spend any money there. You know, they were, you know, scared, like this guy fresh out of the Army is gonna kill me. Everybody's terrified. Everybody's terrified to come in there. So, and I had more people coming in and tell me like this gym wasn't going to work. We're in Canton, Texas. There's been 5 gyms shut down over the years. What's different? And why your gyms are really small? What's the deal with this? Well, I'm just doing personal training. Personal training, you know, what is it? You know, how much is it? $30. You know, which is like the small, you know. Well, I got 1 client, and then I got 2, and then I remember I made $600 one month. $600 gross. So I took in $600. My rent was my dad. Full disclosure, my dad owned the building, so he come in. He goes, "How much did you make this month?" I said, $600. And he goes, you know how much rent is on your little spot right here? No. He goes, $600. I was like, oh, okay. So he's like, if I were you, I would get a real job. And he goes, you should think about being a firefighter. And so I said, well, okay, I'll think about it. And I applied to Garland, Texas fire. Ashley already had a job. She worked at a hospital, but I applied one time. The Garland Fire Department civil service examination. You get 5 points for being in the military. There was like 1,000 people taking the test, and I got top, whatever, and I got hired on at Garland Fire Department. And I did that for 4.5 years. Yeah, so it was 24 hours on, 48 hours off. On my 48 hours off, I was still working at the gym. I hired a buddy of mine to help me, and
but that allowed you to continue growing your business. And
yeah.
At what point were you able to step up to a second location?
Well, we still don't know if that was the right move to do. I thought a second location would be easy. Because I had the same classes, the same workouts, I had the same point of sale, which in looking back on it, I should have made it a whole complete separate entity, because that would have been easier for my finances or whatnot. But then I had a mentor of mine kind of say, like, no, a second location is really 4 times the work. It's not double the work, it's 4 times the work. And he explained it in a way that made sense, but I can't remember really what he said, but it's true. It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, I'm really kind of in the real estate business, so I bought a good property, developed it, put my business in there, which pays the bills. Now I have an asset. Whether or not the business is an asset or not, I still have an asset that's appreciating.
Yeah,
so.
Just the real estate itself
Yeah.
is enough to.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong with the business, you can.
Yeah.
You can always
lease it to somebody else or sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a good move to be in for somebody. But not everybody can do that. Especially if you live in a place like San Francisco or just Dallas. Out here stuff's cheap, so it's easier to do that.
What do you think about the camaraderie that that people are building at the CrossFit gym or gyms in general?
Well, it's good if it's healthy. There's shenanigans that go on, but no, the camaraderie is great. I love the veteran focus. Like the event that you were at today was something we do for veterans, and I'm able to honor our friends like PK, Tim Cunningham, my 2 soldiers that were killed. I get to bring their names up all the time at my gym, and people listen, and people really remember these guys. PK's dad came to our gym and thanked us for donating to his charity a bunch of times, and that was probably my biggest accomplishment in my life. Bill or Bob coming in there. And I like that, man.
Sort of winding down here. One question I like to ask people a lot is, what did your military service mean to you?
When 9/11 happened and like the country was looking for a response to what happened, there's only so many people in the United States that have the capability to lead soldiers, to be soldiers, and then to have leaders of soldiers. And I was in that position. I was physically fit, and I was like the ideal candidate for that. So I was the right guy for the job, and I'm glad I answered that call. Of course, it was all volunteer stuff, but it just happened to happen when I was in that situation, senior in high school. So I answered the call. I would never trade what I did for anything. I'm so proud that I went to West Point and met all of my best. I still consider you guys like my best friends. definitely the most trusted people that I know. I love that I could die like tomorrow or whenever, and they'd say, man, this guy did something. You know, of course Patton said that, you know, Patton's like, well, at least I shoveled or whatever. But at least you know, they would have something to say at my funeral if I passed away, and it made my life meaningful. Like I have done something. So like it's almost like everything else now is kind of icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud of that, and I'm proud to like be a part of the country. And I think, you know, a lot of kids. I think the military is great for kids, and because it gives you that credibility with jobs or whatever, but also in your community. People get, you know, when you're 20 years old and you've served, or 25 or 30, and you're in the community now. It's like, well, yeah, I served in the Army, and I mean, you have another level of respect, you know, and. Anyway, I'm proud of it. It means the world to me. It means everything. I love it. And it was hard, but
yeah,
it was also fun.
Well, you know, what's next for you?
Well, a few things. Keep growing the coffee business. I'm in the real estate deal, so. I have a bunch of rental properties to include my gyms. I'm supposed to take my real estate realtor test to I just want to be my own realtor, and just realtor for investors, mm-hmm. so they don't have to pay like a crazy percentage to realtors. So I'm thinking about doing that. It's kind of another side deal. Yeah, I mean, I've got this kind of small group of Iraq and Afghanistan combat vets locally. There's like 12 of us. It's hard to wrangle these guys in, but actually some of the proceeds from this event that you're at today, I'm going to take them on a hike, the highest peak in Texas. We're also going to bring them out here and let them deer hunt and stuff, and just to get them out, get them moving, help with the mental stuff, because the last 5 years we've donated to some charity that let them do it, but I want to take it in my own hands. Yeah. And all the stuff that's helped me, I want to give it to these guys and hopefully inspire them just to do it on their own and stuff. So that's what I'll be focused on the next few years.
Right on.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. You know, before we cut out, you know, let everybody know where they can find you. Rundown of what all business okay. Your businesses are.
So I'm Sam Deen. I have, you know, Instagram and Facebook, but I have a podcast called Life Uncensored, the Sam Deen podcast. It's on Apple and Spotify. My email is vzfit, like Van Zant fit, vzfit@me.com. Send me an email about anything. You can find Van Zant Coffee on social media and the internet. If you want to order coffee, vanzantcoffee.com, and then crossfitvanzant.com.
Cool. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Blast.
Hey, guys, come on in. How'd y'all know it was over?